Okay.
Welcome to The View! We have such an exciting episode for you today.
Oh my God.
Yes, and we have some wonderful guests who will be joining us in a bit. It's going to be a real treat.
That's right. You know, you can't really overstate how much music influences and is influenced by our lives and experiences, whether it's art music or pop music.
That is so true.
Yes, and you know, one genre in particular really just emerged organically and had such a remarkable correlation with the culture. And of course, that genre we're talking about today is soul.
There's really nothing like it. Although its time in the spotlight was relatively short-lived, it will always hold a very prominent place in the history of pop music. And we still see many influences from it in today's music.
That's right. But before we can really talk about soul music, we have to define what it is, or what it isn't.
True. Because even though it has been so very prominent, its boundaries are kind of hazy. And so let's discuss what it isn't.
Well, it certainly isn't Motown.
No. Soul music was a more authentic expression of the African American culture in the mid-20th century. Motown was the dressed-up white version of soul music used to market African American music to mainstream America.
It's also distinguishable from jazz, R&B, blues, rock and roll, and gospel music, although it shares many characteristics of all of those. So then, what is soul music?
Well, many consider soul to be a combination of gospel and blues, or a secularized version of gospel music. It shares with rock and roll a strain of rebellion and employs some of the harmonies one might find in jazz music.
Yeah, and similar to rhythm and blues, the primary subject of soul music is love. The need to be loved, the frustrations of not being loved, and the ecstasies of being loved.
Many people trace the beginnings of soul music back to the mid-1950s, in the wake of a man by the name of Ray Charles.
Now, for a considerable amount of time, the genre was limited to an African-American audience who had grown up in the emotionalism of gospel music, and to a secret but growing number of white Americans.
Yes, and you know, it wasn't until 1966 that when Percy Sledge's hit "When a Man Loves a Woman" topped the charts, that soul music was considered to have gone mainstream. And from there on out, it progressed hand in hand with the civil rights movement. You know, if there's one person who could represent soul music in its heyday, well, we have that person here with us today.
Today with us, we have an American singer, songwriter, and pianist, best known for her soul recordings, and is now referred to as the Queen of Soul. She has adapted jazz, blues, R&B, and gospel music, and Rolling Stone magazine ranked her atop its list as one of the greatest singers of all time. She is one of the most honored artists by the Grammy Awards, winning 18 competitive Grammy Awards and 2 honorable Grammys. She has 20 #1 singles on the Billboard R&B Singles Chart, and 2 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, one being Respect, and I Knew You Were Waiting For Me. Since 1961, she has scored a total of 45... Okay, we're going to just move on. I can't hold it any longer. Let's hear it up for Aretha Franklin! Such an honor to have you on The View today. So let's talk a little bit about your personal life. You grew up in a Baptist home, and I'm sorry, your mother died at the age of 10. Is that correct? I'm so sorry. But how did growing up in a Baptist family influence your inspirations of soul?
Well, you know, a lot of the things I get to put in my music is all that I've learned from the church. Soul music has a lot to do with, just singing out your thoughts, just the way you do in church, and all of this comes into play, and the upbringing has made a good foundation in my life.
And you've learned to play the piano by ear, is that correct?
Yeah. That plays a major role in what I do.
So let's talk about your hit Respect. Why that piece? Why at that time that piece?
Yeah. You know, it's the thing about trying to empower the ladies. You know, in soul music, we begin to have soul food,
Yes.
the Black American people.
Yes.
You're trying to, so, I mean, it's all about this lady feminist movement going on. So it's certainly
Come on.
Preach it. Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. So I hear in 1965 you received a tiara and you were named the Queen of Soul. Is that correct? How does that feel to represent such a wonderful?
Well, you know, it's just something you do, and it just flows out. I'm overwhelmed by the fact that I was given that award, and it's a privilege, and to serve the people, to, I mean, do what I do with so much of a conviction, and to be able to sing about love. I mean, it's all about love. It's all
Agreed.
about love.
Agreed. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. Such an honor. Such an honor for you to be here. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we'll be right back.
I'm Cecilia Longbottom.
And hello, I'm Friedrich Swarzel.
Frieder, I'm so frustrated. I want to be a musician.